Gen AI infiltrating spaces always sucks because it feels like this place that was precious to you is now being tainted by this disgusting oil spill. But it's even worse when it is art communities and craft communities because for a hot while now, Gen AI has been plaguing the fiber arts community. Let's do a little dive into this. By fiber arts community, I am talking about crochet, knitting, and any other craft that involves using fibrous materials. Specifically today, I'll be talking about crochet because that is a hobby that I got into within the last year. I crocheted a whole bunch of projects. I made like 12 different gifts for people for Christmas. They're all really janky looking, but I'm proud of where I've achieved. When looking into getting crochet patterns, it has come to my attention that there is a strong rise in Gen AI crochet patterns. And you're probably going to be like, well, Kat, how is Gen AI crochet patterns possible? And the answer is, it's not possible. So if you go scroll on places that sell crochet patterns, Etsy is a big one. There's other platforms as well that are very like fiber arts dedicated. You will find a bunch of crochet patterns made by legitimate artists. But within the last like year or two, there's been some really sus things appearing. So here are some that I found. We have this one, 500 plus amigurumi crochet pattern bundle. By the way, if you guys don't know like crochet terms, and I am such a beginner, so please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about things in the comment section. Amigurumi just refers to like crochet plushies. So that's what this is all, which I have found that the strong rise of like AI crochet patterns, a fair significant chunk of them are around amigurumi patterns, specifically, not like clothing or anything else. 500 plus patterns for a crazy deal of $2.80. This sounds too good to be true, likely because it is too good to be true. So we have this animated video to show you the patterns. And disclaimer, don't send hate to any parties involved, okay? Don't send hate, don't bully people. These all look wildly AI generated, first off, okay? Secondly, is this supposed to be an example sheet of all the different patterns you're offering me? Aren't you offering 500 plus designs? Then like, why is this fox and this fox the same and this bear and this bear and this bear also exactly the same? We're even ignoring the fact that some have minor changes like the addition of blush. Like three's three are just the same bear. Like that does not count as three separate patterns. That's the same pattern. And then we have, this turbo AI generated looking image, which need I already explain that this is AI. But the thing about crochet AI too, that always is like, is this AI? Is it not? Just look at the stitches, okay? Because like when the shape of the stitches are all way too uniform for it to make sense, it's typically one sign that this is AI generated. Like this is a crochet plushie, not made by me, made by a artist by the name of Made with April. I'll have them tagged down below. Also, complete side note, I've had their art in my background for like forever. I purchased this like crochet flower bundle from them that's always been in the back of my streams. They do like crochet flower bundles normally, but they also do like plushies and stuff like that. You can see that even though the crocheting for the stitching is basically perfect because she's an absolute pro, because it's made by human hands, there's going to be some slight deviations and slight inconsistencies within like the patterning, right? Like you can see here, like there's a little bit of like the ring curves down a little bit and keeps going. Like absolutely perfect. I could never create anything that looks anywhere near this good. But you can see that it was made by human hands. Here, you can see this is computer generated because the lines are perfectly even. Also, again, one other thing to note is that the stitches are always going to be slightly off if you look at it. Like the stitch row by row will not look the same. And that is not a human error thing because if you make a plushie and you use the same stitch, like if you use a single crochet for the entire plushie, it will all look like a single crochet stitch. But these look like it's a mix between different types of stitches. Then we have this, not to mention the fact the faces look extremely photoshopped. Look at the heads, like of what's happening at the head of each plushie. Instead of like rounding out normally, it somehow looks like you took like a distort tool or like a liquefy tool and liquefied their brains together. So I'm just laughing because this is just so funny. Here we have a whole bunch of plushies laid out together, handmade with love. These crochet hooks look mad suspect to me because these are supposed to be crochet hooks, but there's no hook at the ends of these. These are just like probes. Also, not to mention the fact that some of these guys are just straight up missing eyebrows. Like I get human error and all, but like, come on. If you manage to crochet a plushie with stitches looking this clean and even, you're not gonna forget to put an eyebrow on your cat or this dog or this bear or this bear. In fact, why do half of them have missing eyebrows? This is an absolute scam. I think it's so interesting too because if you look under their page, it has a copyright ownership and notice. All crochet patterns, mockups, and digital files in this listing are original creations or legally curated. What does legally curated mean? Does it mean I yoinked it off the internet? Because I don't know about you, but to me, that doesn't translate to I made the pattern myself. Now let's take a look at the reviews, okay? They average a 4-star review, which in the world of Etsy is not great. This top review, January 4th, says, this bundle is completely full of stolen patterns, some of them that are even free on the original designer socials. This seller is not a designer and is making money off other people's hard work. What a shame, which sucks. Also, by the way, like look at the seller's responses. It just looks really like AI generated. And I mean, the nail in the coffin is if you go to the seller's page and you go look at their other listings, these are all very AI generated as well. Like, what is happening with the stitching on the face of this little guy? Like, it's all zigzaggy crooked. Something looks fishy about this one to me. So next up, we have this pattern, and this is for, yeah, a sunflower granny square crochet bag, which, like, in the crochet world, these types of granny square constructions, which is like you just make like a pattern square, then make a bunch of them and stitch them together, really, really popular. So bags like these are pretty common, honestly. It's just, I don't know, something about this looks fishy to me. It's just, does anybody else feel that way? Or maybe it's just me. I think like this looks extremely AI to me. Couple of reasons. One, this bag has a double strap, okay? So we have a strap on the right side, 2 straps, right? Coming over, and they merge together and become 1 strap. I'm gonna assume your crochet pattern doesn't say to take your 2 straps and sew them together to make 1 and stitch it together on one side. Not to mention the fact, okay, so there's like 3 photos of this, right? And this one looks the most legit, this like crochet bag. Look how the squares are lined up, okay? Like each square is perfectly lined up with the square below it. Like the vertex of the square at the top intersects with the vertex of the square above it. That's how it's sewn together. What happened here? Because this is looking like my crochet projects, okay? Where like you're making it and you made one granny square way too big and you're like, ooh, I'm just gonna wing it and sew it together and pray nobody notices. Because like the squares are not lined up anywhere near even to each other. Not to mention the fact that the sunflowers look wrong. Because look at these sunflowers, look at the petals, okay? Just take a look. They look like a regular petal, okay? Now we have this. This is supposed to be the same pattern, but now these petals have holes in it. And not to mention, again, this looks very AI generated because none of this looks even. The holes in each petal are all different sizes. They look like artifacts rather than actual, like, you know, gaps made from stitching or from your crochet stitches. Now, this one, I was like, okay, the bag in this photo looks the most legitimate. But then I was looking at the chair and I was like, something looks wrong with the chair. Like the seat of the chair, the cushion looks completely shifted over. We can see the wooden beam on the left side and it's just gone on the right. Not to mention the outlet looks melty, like it looks a little liquefied in the back there. So I'm not having good faith about this photo either being legitimate. Now, in the reviews though, people are showing photos of their version of the bag. And it actually looks like the pattern, like whatever pattern it was, people were able to follow it and make something legit. But this person says the item I made from the pattern is great. However, the pattern has formatting issues and there's a lot of areas where there's no spacing between words and it makes it hard to decipher. Which this also has me a little bit intrigued as well, right? Because like, I don't know, if you were to write up a pattern, I don't know, wouldn't you proofread it before you sell it? Because like the clarity of your writing in the pattern is pretty important, right? Because in crochet, a lot of like crochet is done with like in the patterns, they use abbreviations. They don't use actual words. So like for a slip stitch, right? Instead of saying slip stitch, they'll just write SS. And instead of writing like single crochet, they'll sometimes do like SC. So you can see how that would get really confusing if there's no spaces, no commas, nothing, and everything bleeds together in letters. That would be pretty confusing to figure out. We have another one. Care Bears crochet pattern. Amigurumi bundle, beginner friendly, 10 Care Bears. Interestingly, the reference photo, it says 10, but the photo shows 9. So I don't know, maybe there's like a secret, hidden, magical, special Care Bear that you unlock. I don't know, guys. These to me, this is giving AI. Okay, again, what I'm saying about it looking AI is look at the stitches again, okay? On the blue bear, here on the right, where we can see there's like the moon and the star. The stitches in its arm, they look like starbursts. They look like little like 5 pointed stars. In the purple bear, they look like regular single crochet stitches. I'm assuming it's the same pattern for the base of the bear. The only thing that changes is the attachment on the feet and the belly. Why do 2 of your bears look very, very different in terms of stitches? One. Secondly is the inconsistency in the bear itself. Let's look at the purple bear, okay? Look at the feet. The way you crochet like shapes like that, there's many different ways to start the shape, right? But you sometimes will make something called a magic ring. It's a ring, it's a circle, and then you build outwards from that. You would basically see in the crochet stitch, in whatever 3D shape you are crocheting, you will typically see it form in rings, like 1 ring, 2 ring, 3 rings, 4 rings, and it'll get bigger, bigger, whatever. Which you can see in the left foot, right? There's a little ring, and then it gets bigger and bigger. Look at the right foot now. The right foot looks like a swirly lollipop. Just woo, like that. Like, come on. There's different ways to make the shape of a bear leg, but like you wouldn't in the exact same bear make the left leg completely different than the right leg. There's just no reason to do that because it will look very inconsistent. Not to mention the fact that again, the bears have so much inconsistency in their facial features. This bear has eyelids. None of the other bears have eyelids, but some of the bears have eyelashes, except only on one eye. This one has eyelashes only on the left eye. This one has eyelashes only on the left eye. You might argue, well, this is a design choice, but then you take a look at the rest of the bears and like all the other inconsistencies, and then things start not quite adding up anymore. Also, on a side note, I just love how this Etsy seller uploaded like 15 versions of the same image. Like it's literally the same image, which is why like when I click around, nothing changes. They uploaded 15 images and it's all the same thing. And look at the reviews. Most of the reviews are 5-star, but we have this 3-star review writing, I don't know if it was me or a pattern from the 70s or 80s, but I got frustrated. I'm 65 and a half, been crocheting for 51 years. This is a copyright from a magazine PDF. Make of it what you will. So what happens if you actually buy and use one of these patterns that's AI generated? Well, I found a post on Reddit about this. So this is posted to r/crafted by AI. Did anybody try an AI generated crochet pattern? I've tried using AI to generate crochet patterns before, and it's the biggest case of hallucinating that I have ever seen. I have only tried ChatGPT for amigurumi, which is the crochet plushies, and it's always missed the marks. And a big issue is that crochet patterns are typically too short, not enough rows, and the increases or decreases are not gradual enough. And increasing and decreasing is like self-explanatory, but increasing is when you add more stitches and decreasing is when you remove stitches. And they add, I'm honestly amazed at how bad the generated patterns are, considering the vast amount of patterns and resources that are available on the internet. And some of the top comments reads, that's the general problem with AI. It generates stuff based on what it sees, but it doesn't understand what it sees. So it knows how to create something that looks good in theory, but because it doesn't understand crocheter patterns, it's wildly unlikely it will ever create a working pattern. This one is so funny. Somebody said, I asked ChatGPT to write a pattern for a sea monster, and this is their result. Oh my god. This is too funny. I think again, because of what OP said was the issue, is that it would generate you a pattern that's half complete. The sea monster is missing limbs. Like the lower body is just, I don't know, I guess a tassel because that's it. That's all you got. And here's what some other people on social media have to say about it. This person writes, learn to be more careful with Etsy crochet patterns and AI. Because what stitch is that? A big liar stitch. That's what that is. And this is an example that's being referenced. And that's exactly what I mean, right? Because like the crochet stitches have to look like an actual crochet stitch. Sorry, tongue twister. This could be due to my limited knowledge of crochet. I've only been crocheting for 1 year. As far as I know, there are no crochet stitches that will give you perfectly geometric 90-degree right angle triangles in your stitches. It will not look like even pizza pies on your little guy, okay? Like you'll get something that looks like this. There's always going to be some sort of roundness to it because you are using a tubular fiber, right? Like yarn, etc. It's gonna have some roundness to it as you're working with it. You're not gonna get triangles. If you're somebody that's new to crochet and you're trying to learn how to spot AI patterns, this is a thread by Crochet by Naren, and I think this is super helpful. They write, AI crochet pattern listings are getting harder to spot, especially on Etsy. Some look perfect, but don't actually work in real life. Save this post before buying your next pattern. And tell me, have you ever bought a pattern that looks off? So this is their post, and they add why it matters because, you know, AI patterns don't work. It wastes your time, it wastes your money, it wastes your yarn, and devalues real patterns. So one big red flag is the images look too perfect, the stitches don't exist, shapes can't be crocheted, or floating or blurry details. And the shapes that can't be crocheted is like a real notable one too, because like you're limited when you're crocheting in how you can shape things, right? Because you can't get like perfect geometric right angles, or it's really hard to do. There's going to be some sort of like plushy look to it, right? Like the horns look like perfectly horn shaped, whereas here in like a real version, you know, there's a little bit of like bumpiness to it because it's done by the crochet stitch. Perfect but empty images. So there's unrealistic details, the textures are too smooth, and if it looks slightly blurry, you know, very likely this is AI generated. This is another example. Also, look at how like the plushie is sitting. Like this bunny is sitting kind of awkwardly. Like it's sitting almost as if it's sitting on its hunches instead of like sitting back on its butt. And like you literally cannot make a stuffed animal do that. Unless I guess you put like a wireframe skeleton in the body. 4. Vague descriptions. Watch out for easy beginner pattern with no details. No yarn weight or hook size. No gauge or sizing info. No linked Instagram or social media profile. Most real crochet designers link their socials to show their work and build trust. So here they're identifying an AI listing. So here we have a bee. There's a username and there are reviews with photos, But if you check out their other shop listings, they all have the same AI look to it. Also, no testers mentioned. This is another thing in like the crochet fiber arts world where if you make a pattern, a lot of times you will ask for testers and you'll give them the pattern for free for them to make it. Because like everybody, when they make a crochet pattern, it will look slightly different. Because even if you use the same crochet hook size, the same yarn weight, the same brand of yarn, the same type of yarn, there are things that can differ your outward appearance, right? One, yarn is a lot of times dyed in lots. So, like each lot of dye, it might make the yarn look slightly different in color. Secondly, as you're crocheting, there's something called like tension, which is basically how tight you're pulling the yarn as you're working with it. And depending on how tight or loose your tension is, it's going to make your plushie look bigger or smaller, even if you're following the exact same pattern. So if there's no pattern testers, no feedback, no testers, could be a side of AI. Not always. It could just be you made the pattern and didn't ask anybody to test it. But a lot of times too, like if somebody tests the pattern, it's like an additional security that this pattern works. Because sometimes people will test it and they'll come back and be like, yo, this thing is wrong. We need to change this up. It's like if you publish a book without beta readers for your book or like without editors to look at your book, like could your book be fine? Possibly, but when you have extra eyes to look at your work, your pattern, etc., to give you feedback, higher likelihood that it's going to be received better publicly. Another one, new shop, lots of patterns. This one is a big one. When they're selling 5 bajillion patterns for $2, probably too good to be true because like that is astronomically below a working minimum wage. And where did they get all these patterns? And here are other things. 12 in one no so, except as OP pointed out, there's only 10 keychains visible here. Just like our Care Bears. 10 Care Bears. Except there's 9. So, how to protect yourself. Read reviews, check if buyers mention errors, look for social media profiles, and trust your intuition, which I completely agree with. She at the end, this is so fun. She has a quiz. Can you spot the AI crochet patterns? Okay, take a look, guys. Take a look. All right, and what was your final answer, guys? Ding ding! I would love to hear in the comment section below. I got 10 out of 10. One other thing I also want to point out about AI looking crochet versus real crochet photos is that AI crochet will have like a very spherical lighting to the projects, if that makes sense. Like, look how even the lighting looks. There's like a soft rim light on the projects. Every limb basically will have some sort of soft, like round rim lighting. Like it's like somebody in a drawing program discovered airbrushes for the first time and went absolutely nuts on their rendering, which I feel like everybody has been there. Actual yarn absorbs light slightly differently. It wouldn't look like yarn is hitting a marble sphere. There's like a fuzziness to the shadows that is created because yarn is fuzzy. It's a fibrous material and light hits it in a specific way. So that as you can see here, like look at the lighting on the edge of the butterfly, etc. It doesn't have the like smooth rim lighting that you will find in pictures A, C, D, and E because that's not how light hitting crochet works. At the end of the day, there's also like a subset of people that fell into this trap where they thought AI was better. There was this post on Threads, and OP basically writes, "Oh, I made this pattern. I worked really hard on it. Nobody bought it." And people in the comments were like, "Dude, that's because this is an AI generated pumpkin crochet. Like, nobody's gonna buy it because it's AI. Like, they're not gonna trust that your pattern is legitimate because your reference photo looks generated. They're gonna assume they're gonna get a ChatGPT crochet pattern." And OP later said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, this is a handmade pattern that I made myself. I have an example image. I just thought the crochet image looked better, so I used it. And this is their actual pumpkin, which their pumpkin looks really cute. But like, as you can see, you see what I mean, right? Like, of course, the wand is going to be bendy a little bit because that's how crochet works, right? Like the star is going to be a little heavy. The wand is thinner, so it's going to bend unless you stick a wire in it to keep it up straight. I'm sure if people saw your actual hand crocheted pumpkin fairy, they would want to buy the pattern because it looks really cute. And they know that, you know, it's like a handmade thing. But if they see an AI generated pumpkin with wings, I'm going to assume that the pattern's going to suck because it's probably AI generated, right? That's my assumption. So at the end of the day, are you a fiber arts creator? Have you been crocheting, knitting? I would love to know. Share with the class what your project is. And don't get scammed with AI generated crochet patterns. Stay safe out there, guys. So if you guys like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide. And I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. I know I haven't been streaming. It's because I've been traveling a lot. I am going to CES this week. And then when I'm back from CES, I will finally be back to streaming again. I just didn't want to like stream and then disappear again for 4 weeks, stream once and then disappear again for 4 weeks. Like I was going to wait till I'm done traveling After CES, I'll finally be back at home. So anyways, I hope to catch you guys in a future stream or in a future YouTube video. Peace.